There are a lot of other teams, so it's difficult. But even this time, I can't see any team which is better than England.
Hello, welcome to the latest instalment of the UCFB and GIS exclusive guest speaker interviews, where we talk to some of the most influential people in the world of football and sport. My name is Neil, and today I'll be talking to a man who has managed to win the league title in 3 different countries, been in charge at 2 World Cups, and also managed in the Premier League. I'm delighted to welcome and say hello to former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson. Sven, how are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, very good. Like many people, just kind of working from home and waiting for this crazy year to end.
Unfortunately. It will end one day.
One day. Have you been looking after yourself though during the year and staying low and all the rest of it?
Yeah, the sad thing is that you can't travel as you normally do, as I normally do. But shouldn't complain. Try to do what the authorities want us to do, and hopefully it's getting over.
Fingers crossed. The sooner we get out of this, the better. Right? 2021.
Yes.
But let's go straight into it. Obviously, you took over England in 2001, and you became the first non-English manager of the national side. Did you feel extra pressure to deliver, maybe to a fan base who maybe weren't familiar with you as a football manager, despite at the time your very recent success with Lazio?
Well, first of all, I thought that it was impossible to become an England manager if you're not English. So it was a big surprise that the FA phoned me and asked me if I wanted to have the job. And of course I wanted. So I recognized the first day that there were people protesting a little bit that the England, national team of England, should only be coached by English manager coaches. So I felt that a little bit, but at the same time, England was in a not good position in the qualification group for the World Cup 2002. So it was not really a lot to lose. It was a lot to win if you could qualify with them. So yeah, a little bit of pressure, but as soon as we started to play games, we were very successful. I think we won the first 5 games or something like that. So no, it was good. And you know, I had been working for many, many years in Italy, and the pressure there of a football manager for any club is huge. So I was a little bit used to pressure.
And did you realise maybe at the time how big the England job is, obviously, and the 24/7 media coverage that comes with it? I think probably in England, maybe only the Prime Minister gets more attention, I think.
No, I didn't realize that. That's for sure. And I remember one day I was called in for a cup of coffee, invited for a cup of coffee at Luton Airport. And there were the Swedish Prime Minister and the England Prime Minister, and that was Tony Blair. And I have never met none of them. So when I came in there for a coffee, I was sitting in a private room. Tony Blair said, "Welcome to England, Sven. Shall we take a bet?" He said. That was the first thing he said. "What do you mean?" I said, "Take a bet. Who is going to keep the job longest, you or me?" Because Sven, he said, "We have 2 impossible jobs. We will be sacked one day, both of us."
I think Tony Blair was a big Newcastle fan, I think, from memory, wasn't he?
Big Newcastle fan, yeah. We talked football for a while there. Because then you understand that, once again, understand that this job is a big job.
And also, you mentioned you came in during the 2002 World Cup qualifiers. And obviously in that period, there was a very memorable game in Munich, beating Germany 5-1. What are kind of it was an incredible performance. What are your memories of that? And maybe in particular, what was the dressing room like after that game?
Well, it was up and down, I would say. Everyone extremely happy, of course, because I think even for us, the coaches, me and the players, was, yeah, you can go to Germany and win, but you don't win 5-1. That should be practically impossible. So, well, happy, and only trying to remind the players that, listen, boys, every game we play in the future will not be like this, because everything went right for us and everything went wrong for the Germans. So you have some of those days, but of course it was great. And it's still great because I suppose that will be for a long time a historic game, a historic result. And that's nice to have been part of that, of course.
Absolutely, I know England fans. They like beating Germany in any circumstance, don't they? Especially in their own backyard, 5-1.
Yeah.
Of course, at the end of that qualifying campaign as well was the Greece game, Beckham's free kick, wasn't it, at Old Trafford? That was another crazy moment for you as a manager, surely.
Yeah, of course. I'm sitting on the bench there, and you're thinking, "Good Jesus, we beat Germany on the way. We did great results, and at the end, we might fall of not beating Greece at home because we didn't play very well. We created chances, but we didn't score, and the Greece team was fighting, and it didn't look very, very good. And furthermore, Beckham, he had failed a lot of free kicks. I think he had 5-6 in a good position, and he missed all of them. So I think the last one there, Teddy Sheringham, wanted to take it, and Beckham said no. And he was a captain, and he took it and he scored, and of course that was joy, it was happiness, it was the ticket to the World Cup, and of course very, very, very important.
Of course, David Beckham was part of that kind of so-called golden generation, and obviously they were at their peak kind of during your time as England manager. How close do you think were they to winning a tournament, and do you think perhaps that set of players maybe should have taken that further step to winning something?
Well, I thought before the tournament 2006 in Germany that we could win it and at least reach in the final. I was quite sure, and I think that was the thoughts of all the players and the staff as well, because we couldn't see really any better team than us. Italy won it, but they were not really a good team. Germany was so and so. Spain wasn't that the best at that time. So I thought we could win it. And I still think we should have done better. We should have reached the final. And I couldn't see anything better, even today. But football is also penalty shootouts. And we did as we did, unfortunately.
I mean,
that was a golden opportunity for England to take first, second, third place in a World Cup.
Yeah, was it three quarterfinals, wasn't it? Yeah, and obviously yourself, like many managers, fell victim to the penalty shootout curse, which is hopefully being broken now after 2 years ago.
Yeah. They did better now the last big tournament.
I mean, since then, it's when they were pundits together. I think it was Steven Gerrard and Rio Ferdinand. They said that maybe their club rivalries at the time were perhaps one of the stumbling blocks, maybe for that England team to go on and achieve, because there was so much rivalry in the Premier League at the time. I mean, did you see that at all, or do you agree with that statement?
No, I couldn't see that there were different parts in the group. I think it was a happy group, and of course I'm very sad to hear it, because if there were something like that, I would have been told by players or by the staff or things like that, and I never heard anything about that. So if you don't do what you are expected to do, you always want to find something wrong. And the only thing wrong I think I did, that was I should have taken in a mental coach for the penalties. I didn't, and that was totally my fault. I thought about it, I discussed it with the staff, but at the end we thought that we have such an experienced team, so we will handle it this time, and we didn't. So that's my fault.
Was there the opportunity to have a kind of a sports psychologist on board?
Yeah, but it's a little bit more difficult when you are in the national team. Then you have to prepare it for a long time, I think. But yeah, it would have been possible, yes, if we really had wanted it, but it didn't happen, unfortunately.
And of that group of players we've talked about, who do you think maybe was the best player in the team, or maybe the most influential? And also, you had David Beckham as captain, but were there other leaders as well?
I think there were a lot of leaders who could be easily the captain of England. Not only David Beckham, you have Steven Gerrard, you had Frank Lampard, you had Rio, who could do it. Rooney was too young at that time, of course, but you could see that he will become a leader. So there were many. Who was the best, most important player? No, please. I wouldn't have an opinion about that. And if I had an opinion of that, I will keep it for myself. It was a great time for me, great time for all of us. The only thing was that we didn't go to a final, but anyhow, it was great and wonderful players to work with.
How do you view the team and the players England have now, and the job Gareth Southgate is doing? Can you see them winning the Euros next year?
I can. I think they have a chance. And of course, in England, sometimes I got the feeling that they forget that the competition to win a big tournament, Euro or a World Cup, is incredible high. It's not only England where they play good football. There are a lot of other teams, so it's difficult. But even this time, I can't see any team which is better than England. I don't think so. Spain is okay. Germany is okay. Italy, you never know. I think they're doing well now. So why not? And England, they have pace in the team, which is very important today in the modern football. They can defend and make counterattacks, and they are very, very dangerous. And then pray that Harry Kane is fit and in good shape during the next tournament, because you need a natural goal scorer to win a big tournament, and he is a natural goal scorer for sure.
Is there did you get a sense when he was manager, and then sense that there's almost a real sense of desperation between maybe the fans, the FA, the press for England to do well, because it's also been so long now since they won a tournament? Is it along those lines?
Well, maybe the press more than the fans and the players and things like that. I always felt that some parts of the press, when we beat Germany away 5-1, we hadn't even qualified yet. But when you read the papers the day after or the week after, we had already won the World Cup. So it's always very, very dangerous things. But, Southgate now is going to take England to the big tournament. And that's the biggest thing you can have. You feel 60 million people in your back pushing you. Sven, win it. Take us to the final. And if you go by taxi, you go to a restaurant or whatever you do in England, you get support. And everyone always positive. Not a bad word from anyone. So I think the English people, the English fans are fantastic. The press is not always fantastic, but the fans, they are.
Yeah, they're mad football fans, certainly. But of course, since England and pre-England, you've had a very long and successful career as well. As before you took the England job, you won the league in 3 different countries, Sweden, Portugal and Italy. Of those 3 leagues and winning the titles, what would you say was the biggest achievement?
Well, Gothenburg. That's important to know. We not only won the domestic league, we won a big title in Europe. Today, that's called Europa League. At that time, it was called UEFA Cup. And we did that with a team, not professional. They were all amateurs. They all were working or studying. Or one of the players, he was a plumber.
Okay.
So the day before the final at home, he came to ask me, Sven, tomorrow when it's the final, can I take half day off? Only working 7 to 12 as a plumber and then coming to play the game. Yeah, of course you can, I said. So that was a big thing. And we beat it Hamburg at that time. 3-0, 1-0 at home, 3-0. So that was a big achievement. But that was more winning in Europe than winning the title. Then, if you win the Scudetto in Italy with a team which is not Juventus, Milan, or Inter, it's always great. Because it happens very, very, very seldom. It's always, historically, even today, one of these three teams winning it. So when Lazio won it, that was huge for every fan and really appreciated by a lot of football fans in Italy. In the world, I would say, in Europe.
See, you managed a handful of clubs in Italy. Did you feel an affinity with the Italian, the league, the people, the football? What was it about Italy that you liked so much?
Well, I was in Italy for 13 years working with different clubs, and the highlight was, of course, Lazio. We were winning 7 trophies in 3 years, and that was with a team who normally never wins anything. So that was great. And if you are the manager, coach of Lazio in Rome at that time, life is very good. Very, very good.
And of course, you managed in the Premier League as well. How do you view the league now? It's huge global success. It was a huge league when you was manager, but it's got even bigger. How do you view it now? Is it the biggest league in the world, and the players that are in it?
No doubts about that. It's the biggest in the world. During my time in Italy, that was 90s, 80s, 90s. Italian football was the best in the world. All the big players wanted to come to Italy to play. The money was big and things like that. But after that, Premier League took over. And today, and since many years, it's number one in the world. Everyone wants to come to Premier League, and it's the best league to see because every match is a fight. It's not very often you see 5-0, 6-0, as you see in Spain with Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich, and things like that. So, Premier League, yes. And the people around that league, they have been extremely clever to make it what it is today globally. Wherever you go in the world, you can see Premier League.
And how do you see VAR at the minute? Is it? I think it's here, isn't it, to stay? Do you like it in football? Does it need to be improved?
Yes, I think it's there to stay. Then if you can do it in the future a little bit quicker, a little bit different, yes, you will find things to make it even better. But it will stay. You cannot go back. Because I wanted things like that since a long, long time. But Blatter, when he was the president of FIFA, he was always against it. He always said, football shall be played, even if it's a Champions League final, in the same way as you play in the park on Sunday morning. And of course, it cannot be like that. Because football is a sport where you win 1-0, 2-1, 2-2, whatever it is. It's not you winning 100 by 70 or things like that. So every penalty, not every, but most of them are you in or are you out? And the game is a huge pitch. It's one referee, and he needs help. He cannot see every time and make the right decision if it's a penalty or not in the penalty box. That's impossible. So I think for the referees it's very good, and for the sport it's very good. You cannot, when you see it, and we can see it on TV if we're looking, when you cannot protest or complain.
Sure.
You see, it was offside. It's a penalty, so it's better, much better.
I think VAR or no VAR, fans and pundits will always argue, won't they? Whatever the case.
That's football. They argue who's the best football player in the world. They argue whatever, but that's football. As long as it's peaceful, it's good. It's good for the sport.
And of course, you've just spoke to a lot of our students via webcam, but there'll be people now watching this. What advice can you give them? One piece of advice can you give them to go on and succeed if they're looking for a career or football in sport, whether that's coaching, whether that's media, whether that's finance? What does it take?
I'm happy to hear that they do in their education, because education is extremely important. And I think it's going to be more and more important for every year, for the future, whatever you do, but in football, of course. And to have a good job in football today, you don't need to be Messi, or you don't need to be Ferguson, which is taking a lot of things, the best coach, the best player, and so on. Football needs a lot of people today, which you didn't need 30 years ago. Today you have analysts looking at new players, looking at the next opponent, looking at what did we wrong last game and things like that. And that takes a long time. I remember when I had Manchester City, we had one guy taking care of all these things. I don't know today Manchester City, but I would guess they have 50 maybe taking care of that thing. So, and today football, you earn a lot of money if you are a good football player. And rightly, I don't agree with that. I agree with that. I don't is against that at all. But I understand clubs, if you pay millions per player, you want to be sure that he gets the right treatment, that he gets the right mental approach to the game, that he eats in the right way, that he sleeps in the right way. So you need people taking care of all these different things to support this player, which I'm the owner, paying million. I want him to be 100% prepared for what he's going to do. So clubs will put in a lot of money on people around football. And the women football. That growing, and it will growing faster and faster, and it will become as important as men football very, very quickly. So there you have more teams needing more people.
Sven, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Really enjoyed your time there.
Thank you very much. Good luck to everyone.